Hey, this is just a guy in a mask. So today we're gonna watch Candace Owens destroy OnlyFans girls. To give you a little bit context, if you don't know about whatever podcast, so sometimes they will invite like the girls that do like OnlyFans, and there are some people that have like different point of view to let them kind of debate. But today we have Candace Owens, which is a political commentator. She's also a mother, so the debate is going to be really juicy and entertaining. Let's do it.
And I'm not going to stop supporting myself. But yeah, I never really ran into issues. But again, I don't do full pornographic content or anything like that. So it probably is a little bit different for somebody on OnlyFans that does do that type of content.
Wait. What kind of content are you talking about? People are saying that they're creating content. Let's listen to it.
But I personally have never ran into an issue. My boyfriend at first was, I told him and he was like, okay, well, if I'm going to date you, I have to be okay with this. And that was that. And it's never been an issue.
Sorry, I was asking a question. What kind of content
what kind of content do you do?
Mainly topless content.
Okay,
So-
and you currently have a boyfriend?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So,
Just that's the extent of it?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Essie?
I've also never had an issue in my dating life. I don't date that often though, but
Right, because you've been single for 6 years.
Yeah.
But it might
That
not
was a
necessarily
lot
be
when you're
related
single and you do
to that you're now
OnlyFans.
doing OnlyFans.
yeah. I also don't do nudes
Okay,
on
so they
OnlyFans,
just do,
so
like,
it's just like lingerie content.
topless.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
So I think that
Alright.
also maybe helps.
But
'cause
don't do that.
yeah.
Okay.
The truth is that if you are going to engage in sex work, you are going to probably make a lot of money, especially if you're young. You're on a very tight rope. As you get older, your value goes down, and men are going to want women that are younger and available to them. I'm talking about in terms of just making the person who will subscribe to your OnlyFans page. Obviously, women, you're declining as you age, And the truth is that high-value men don't want to date women that are sex workers or even women that aren't sex workers and lean into the whole talking about how sexy and are freely available on
I
the web
think
for other men
she
to
just
see.
hit the point. She just hits the nail to the head. What I'm trying to say is that the girls that are doing OnlyFans, they are just kind of short-sighted. Think about this: like if you are doing OnlyFans, which means that you're earning money in just short period of time. They are earning pretty good money, right? They even have like a freaking a website for you to sell your feed photo. Like our society is doomed. I digress. Let's get back to the topic. What I'm trying to say is that that short side of say now you're earning a lot of money, but when you get older in the long run, you're not gonna get no husband. Like they have someone can accept what you're doing in the past. I don't think most of the people can accept a woman that are accessible to a lot of men. I remember there's one Japanese porn star, but I cannot remember her name. But I remember when she finally get married to one artist, and then she kind of take legal action to kind of ask all the porn site to take down all the video that she used to do, which tell a lot. Well, let's get back to the video.
What we're talking about is biological proclivity. What men are doing when they first say, this sounds amazing, to date a stripper or to date a prostitute or to date a sex worker, is there's this instinct to have sex. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to have sex all the time. But then when they realize that actually a form of wanting to be in a relationship is feeling that there's a mystery to a woman, that there's something that's yours, there's something that's sacred, there's something that's powerful and beautiful that just you share. And when they realize that they have to share that with other men, it completely diminishes the man. A recent cultural example of that, obviously, is what's happening with Nina Agdal. She's not a sex worker by any means. She just kind of said some sexy things on the internet about wanting cock, and look at what...
Was not expecting that from Candace.
I'm quoting her directly, so this is purely academic. Purely academic, and look at what happened. Now Logan has become the laughing stock of other men as they piece together everything that she's ever said that's overtly sexual.
Yeah, that's the thing happening recently, where Logan and this guy are fighting. Logan Paul, I'm talking about. But then this guy, he want to create some heat. The more controversial you get, so the more people will go and see your fight, right? So what the guy did is I don't know, man. But it's entertaining. It's really bad that I say that. You shouldn't be happy in the expense of other people like miserable and despair. What happened is that this guy actually posted like Logan wife, and the guy that she used to date.
And as they piece together everything that she's ever said that's overtly sexual, and again, she's not a sex worker, but what happened is her value just completely plummeted because, they're this thing that men need to feel. And I don't want to say possession in a way that sounds bad, because it's not bad. It's actually really beautiful. And I'm lucky and fortunate that I get to experience that in my marriage, and it's something that women should strive toward. Women that make those exchanges in their youth, I think that's sad, and I do feel bad for Nina Agdal, is because she said a lot of those statements when she was really young. She's probably your age. And she had a camera, and she said it, and it lives forever. Right. And now every man that she dates is going to say Dylan Danis has made her available to everyone. And I hope things work out between her and Logan, but if you don't think that that's going to impact Logan, or that's not actively impacting him as a man, it is.
Yeah, as a man, I can understand that. I cannot imagine if there's someone like posting like photo with like your girlfriend, like her past, like on the internet. Like, it's gonna be so devastating. I couldn't imagine like what Logan went through. I watched until to this point. I feel like she's just by all means not trying to attack the people who are doing this thing. She's just like showing empathy. She's just trying to say like, hey man, in this case, hey girls, like if you don't do this, you actually have like a lot of potential, and you actually give up a lot of chances in the future. So we are going to jump to the next clip.
I'm just curious about your opinion, just to hear a male.
I don't care.
Well, that's so rude.
No,
He
but
sat
I mean,
here and
good-
asked you your opinion about
No,
everything.
I said like good thing I don't care for
But I
what
didn't-
other male has to say about
But the
my
customer
industry
is
though.
male.
But
I'm
he's
just
been
saying.
asking you questions about what you think about men.
No, I'm gonna
He's been
listen to
asking you
him.
questions about your life, and the first thing when I
No,
ask one
he
question
can
to
say his
him,
question.
you
I'm
say
just
I don't
saying, like,
care. I feel like
personally.
I'm very hurt. I want to know. I mean, I personally would not date a woman who is involved in sex work in
Makes
any of
sense.
its various manifestations. It's kind of, I'm not really like a hater if people want to do that sort of thing. When on a societal level, I don't know if it's the best thing, but I'm kind of like, hey, whatever, go do your thing. But as far as my own personal preferences, standards, and boundaries when it comes to a relationship, I don't foresee myself wanting to get involved with someone who does sex work. If she's a prostitute or was a prostitute, I mean, it's kind of, I feel like that's just common sense. Like, I wouldn't, no offense, I just wouldn't date a woman who's a
I'm
prostitute.
not offended, like I said.
I don't think you ought to detach intimacy from sex, and people who engage in a lot of casual sex or people who do it for work, you've essentially just detached intimacy from sex. So definitely not a prostitute. I'm not a stripper, not a OnlyFans, no.
Can see like he's trying to pick his word like really carefully, right? Otherwise he's gonna get cancelled or something. But well, I might be digress. I absolutely agree with what she said. Like now, imagine now you have a girlfriend that used to do this. Just there's something just inside your heart that you couldn't accept this kind of person. But respectfully, you can do whatever you want. That's like the consequence that you have to bear. So like, I really felt like seeing all those girls, like they're so young, like they're probably like in my age, or we're probably like the same, and they wanted to like have their life being supported, and they actually love to do what they're doing. Fine, that's gonna be okay, but have to remember that there probably aren't gonna be a lot of men is going to be accepting your past, like doing all those things.
Things change, and maybe he wants to start exploring.
He wants to
Yeah.
start doing what?
So he wants
ram.
to start exploring, and he's like, oh my gosh, maybe I do want you to like eat my ass, and I kind of want you to me. Like I kind of want anal penetration from you because you're my wife and you're so beautiful and hot. And we're married and we have kids together, and I'm feeling a little bit kinky, and I with you, since we have this special marriage and bond, how would you feel if we could just try this out just this one time, babe, please?
I think it would probably indicate to me that my husband was involved in some perverse world, whether it was through pornography, that something else was happening on the side, because these aren't normal things that people just think of when they wake up.
So
like,
what's your
hey,
next
I'd
move?
really like a strap-on dildo.
Okay, right.
Well,
So what's your
also,
next move?
What's the ultimatum? He's
Wait,
going
hold
to
on.
divorce me if I
Wait,
don't
so
peg
what's-
him?
so what's your
That's
next
happening
move?
Crazy.
currently.
I would think that individual would probably need therapy and not the kind that you give.
Okay. And but you're gonna stay with this person?
You don't immediately divorce.
Okay.
Marriage is
You're gonna
about
stay-
working through issues and working through problems. You
Okay,
don't immediately
right.
divorce them. And this gets back to what she was saying about if your
Because-
husband, if suddenly a woman doesn't want to have sex, which would be another huge issue in a relationship, I would hope that my husband wouldn't instantly divorce me, but I would hope that they
Well,
would
some
take
guys
the
are terrified of that, and some guys don't even feel like they can open up to their wives about that.
Well, I feel like if the guys in this situation like is not open to willingly like open himself to discuss this kind of thing, well, this guy might as well need some really serious like I don't know, therapy, or you can talk to your bro about this issue. Like, what the hell, man?
Sounds like they need therapy.
They
then
need
if they
therapy.
can't open up
And-
to his wife.
Yeah, I
You gotta
know.
work on your
But
marriage.
the thing is that they'll come to us.
Go, if there was an issue and your wife's not having sex, I'd rather him go talk to a priest. I'd rather him go talk to another male. When males sit down and talk about, hey man, you should talk to her about
Okay, but
this.
let's be
I'd
for
rather
real.
him.
What
No,
man nowadays
let me
is
finish
gonna
my
do that?
statement. I'd rather him. What do you mean, bros talking to each other about things? That's a normal. I'd
Especially
rather if I have an
sex, I
issue
feel
in
like
my,
that's pretty
it's pretty
normal.
normal. I'd rather go talk to my sisters about things that are going on
No,
in my
I said
marriage.
what
There's a
man?
lot of steps you can take before you talk to a prostitute about your marriage. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I live in such a crazy.
Well, I'm
place,
saying what
but
man is
I
willing
don't know.
to do
I
that?
turn on a
Because
turn on a
apparently
Taylor
we
Swift
get a lot
song,
of those on
cry
this
a little
side,
bit in
is
my
what I'm saying.
room. I don't know. There's a lot. I would turn to
Wild
Taylor Swift
proposition.
before I would go to a prostitute about
Well,
my marriage.
I
and
know, but you're not a male, so
no,
I'm just saying, like,
men can talk to
where-
other. What are you talking about? There's all of these podcasts of men
That's
talking,
true.
talking to men and being inspirational and talking about porn addiction and talking about the things that are corrupting men's minds.
The point that she brings out, which is really valid. Think about this, like when we first started to learn about sex and stuff and all those things, where do we learn about it? If you are like me, we came from like a really conservative like Asian like family, they probably just don't tell you about things about sex. You don't even know about those things. So whether you have to learn this kind of thing online, whether you get corn, you just go to like corn website and look at a lot of like crazy shit, and in the end of the day your mind just gonna be like so fucked, and every like crazy like video that you see actually staying on your mind. It really like perverted your, you know what I mean, right? Men should actually stop like watching porn and should really like take up responsibility. If you have like any problem, you should find anyone to talk. Like, this is crazy, like you have to talk to a prostitute to make your marriage works again. The fuck are you talking about, bro? Try not watching porn for like at least like 1 fucking month and you can see the difference. It makes me want to do a video about like why you should stop watching porn. So after watching this video, we can really see like Candace is just like give those girls perspective to let them understand, like if you keep doing this, the consequences are there. It's better for you to just, you know, stop doing that. And in the end of the day, I really hope that people can understand like these simple things, like just don't watch porn and don't do this kind of thing. Be responsibility. Do the thing that you like. But in the end of the day, who am I to judge, right? I'm just a guy in a mask. Stay strong. And I'll see you next time.